People say, we said 114 million trees. It's already 8 years. We planted only 17 million trees. Sadhguru, how will we do 114? It's not happening, it's not happening. I said, relax, 17 million trees is wonderful. And above all, we have set fire to everybody. Even if we stop, others will do it. Suppose we can't do it, so many other people have caught fire, they will all do it. The important thing is your vision and how you are within yourself. How you are within yourself has not been invested upon at all. You're trying to develop your outside skills. Whatever your skills may be, if you don't have the necessary equanimity and exuberance at the same time, to be equanimous and exuberant, if you achieve this within yourself, then whatever competence you have will multiply 100-fold. If you don't have equanimity, you will spill all over the place. If you don't have exuberance, then again it will not find full expression. To make yourself into an equanimous and exuberant human being within yourself, which is not in any way enslaved to outside situations. If everything is going dead wrong today, still, this is how I am, okay? With the number of things happening, you must understand, don't be impressed by this 2.5 million volunteers and all this. I want you to understand what it means. Working with volunteers, what it means is, nobody is trained for the job. Do you understand? They're enthusiastic, they're fired up, but they don't know how to do it. So every moment you have to guide it. If I hired a professional, instead of 100 volunteers, one guy would do the job, but you wouldn't have a movement. If he gets a better pay somewhere, he'll run away. These people are willing to die for it.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. And another thing is, when you work with volunteers, you can't fire them. Just try to manage your company without the ability to fire the incompetent, you will go crazy. So you must understand, volunteers means not some great thing, it is a You can't fire them and they're not trained for the job. That's a reality. But still wonderful things happen because that is the nature of human spirit. When they're on it, when they really want to make it happen, they'll find a way. Somehow they'll find a way. That is the beauty of it. And this is the growth of the human being. Somehow, people who never thought they could do all these things, today they've risen and they're doing all kinds of things that they never imagined possible. So, first establish your way of being. Then you go out and do whatever you're capable of. If you're not capable of it, you'll find out halfway. But you're a joyful being, you're exuberant and you're balanced. If these two things you achieve, you will see every drop of competence you have will multiply 100-fold. If you don't have balance, every 100 drops of competence you have will get reduced to 10 drops or 1. Because you yourself are an issue. How can you handle outside issues? First thing is that you are not an issue. You make yourself like this, that you are not an issue. No matter what is the situation, you are never the issue. Just do this one thing for yourself. You deserve this, isn't it? That you are not the issue. There are a million issues to handle every day, but you are not the issue. If you become the issue, that's a big issue, isn't it?
Very nice. Are there others who have questions? You have a question? Just announce your name.
My name is Vrishti Behel. Talking about education and children, being a mother of 2 daughters, I grew up in India and I'm raising my kids here. I want to understand, how would you define leadership in kids, especially when we are in this competitive world, and yet I want my kids to not forget to be human. Like we're talking about humanity, how to generate that value, to be human and to still develop leadership, Simple things like, sometimes I see my daughter, she's playing with her friends, and I see certain kids are guiding, oh, let's play this, let's do this. In a way, that's leadership, I don't know, we would define it, oh, this kid is, very good at, heading out. But when you're not inclusive of, the people that you are around with, would you still call it leadership? And if that's not leadership, what is the right definition of leadership and how to instill that in kids?
See, leadership, if you look at it as a quality, if you look at leadership as an aspiration, it can produce many disastrous leaders. You may end up producing Adolf Hitlers. Do not ever think of leadership as something that you aspire for. If you look at how to evolve a certain competence with whatever draws you in this life, if you become competent in a certain way, people will naturally look up to you. Leadership should be a consequence. Leadership should not be an aspiration. If leadership is an aspiration, you may produce sick people. Leadership should never be an aspiration. Do not ever use the word leadership with your children. It is not necessary. They must focus on doing something well. If you do something really well, 10 people will look up to it. If it's wonderful, 1,000,000 people will look up to it. That's all it is. Leadership should be a consequence of a certain type of action, not an aspiration. What is your idea of leadership? That you want to be on top of everybody else? That's a sick idea as far as I'm concerned. You want to sit on top of everybody's heads is not a healthy idea, isn't it? You're doing something that invariably everybody looks up to, that's great, that's wonderful. That should happen to every human being. So do not bring this idea of leadership into child's mind. Bring this idea of involvement. Whatever you do, I'm an absentee father, but I still brought up my girl. I just landed here and this family who knows my girl, they were asking, how is she? I said, see, I'm a telephonic father. I'm just fathering on the telephone most of the time. Every day I'm on the phone with her, that's the best I can do. But our meetings are like skirmishes here and there because that's how it is. And just because you're not physically there, will things go wrong? No, you need to understand this. A child does not listen to what rubbish you speak. A child looks at how you are. Please fix that. Before you produce a child, you must look at this. Does the world need one more person like me? Is it good to have 2 people like me, or is it one is enough? So, spend some time on yourself as to how you are. And naturally, the child will imbibe this. Child will not listen to your nonsense, your advices, your thing. No, I'm glad they don't. But they don't anyway. And it's good that they should not listen to your advice. But if you make yourself in a certain way, the impact of that will not go. It will invariably be there. At a certain age, they may act a little funny, but they'll settle down, okay? That's part of their wanting to be things. Recently, I took my girl off formal education at the age of 15 and put her into dance, classical dance. Everybody said, you're crazy. My father, who's a physician, I don't know why I'm sharing all this with you on a camera. Because my problem is, I don't know who is close to me, who is not. In my mind, everybody is like this with me. I don't know how you look at these things. My father was so terribly upset. He's highly educated, always focused on education. I am no education. So when I pulled her off education, he said, you never got educated, don't destroy this, because he was thinking she's going to Harvard, she's going to Stanford. I said, no, she likes dance, let her do that, what's the problem? So today she's become an upcoming artist in the country. Recently she performed and a lot of critics saying good things about her. She was interviewed and naturally they ask, what is your father's advice for you, because they know who I am. So the media is asking her in Delhi as to what is the big advice that your father gave. So she said, my father gave me no advice. This is just 3 days ago, it appeared in the newspapers. He gave me no advice and he brought me up in such a way that even if he gives, I should not take any advice. But he has such a keen eye, so when he speaks, I have to listen because he sees things that I don't see. So I end up listening to him, But in the end, I have the satisfaction I'm doing my own thing. But actually, I'm doing what he said, but he never gives me an advice. So you do this one thing to your children, that stop being a parent. See, when you were growing up, please look at this, when you were growing up, if you had some issue, problem within you, most of you wouldn't go to your parents, you would go to your friend, isn't it? Yes. That friend, it gives his own unqualified rubbish advice. Why is it that you did not go to your parents? Because they should have been your best friends. But it doesn't happen that way because you take a moral high ground that you seem to know better. You don't know anything better, you just came a few years before them, that's all the qualification you have. You may know how to earn a living, but you don't know much about life. Because between you and your child, even now I'm asking you, between you and your two girls, is it? Two girls, who is more joyful? They are. So they must be the consultants for life, not you. Why don't you just ask them, how should I bring you up? Yes, why not? Really. I'm telling you, when my girl was 2, 3 years of age, big problem, something, organizational problems, people's problems, individual problems, whatever. People come, I'll just throw it to her. Hey, this is the problem, what about it? At least 70–80% of the time, she came up with such brilliant answers. I'm telling you, this is not because this one girl is special or something. Every child is capable of this because their eyes are not fettered with unnecessary memory, they're just looking at things the way they are. That's something that you have to do to yourself, that your past does not interfere with your present and future. For that you must do some yoga, okay? But your child is already there, make use of that in your home. Your business problem, your family problem, your personal problem, just throw it at them shamelessly and say, see, this is the thing, I don't know what to do. You will see they will come out with a brilliant answer most of the time. Sometimes you will have to make your judgments, it may be too wacky, you know. But above all, you have put them on level with you. Now, tomorrow if they have some issue, the first person they think of is you, not some unqualified nonsense that is waiting at the street corner, okay? And that's important.
I think one last question.
I think to a certain extent you might have answered this, but I wanted to ask, I've known that many people have ascribed various classifications to you, like guru and enlightened being, and I wanted to know whether you identify with those labels.
These are all different roles that you play in your life. And I believe in playing every role that I take up to the hilt. And you must, isn't it? When you're with your family, you must be 100% a family person. You step out on the street, you must be a great driver. You go to the office, you must run that well. Is that not important? So, if you get identified with one thing, you can't do the other thing properly. So identities are only situation specific. In that situation, yes, when I sit in a certain way, I am an absolute guru, no question. But do I walk the street like that? Definitely not. Do I go home like that? Definitely not. But when I sit there among people who come to learn something from me, I am 100% guru, no question about that. So, for the role that you take on, if you do not play that role fully, then why the hell are you playing it?